Let's take a look now at what the international press is talking about this Wednesday. Elena Cassis is with us. The Greek referendum dominating, of course. And what have the papers in Greece made of that?
The Lord of Chaos. That's Papandreou, according to the left-leaning paper Eleftherio. They've got this front page of him in front of what looks like a burning altar in a biblical kind of a scene. And they say he's careering blindly up a suicidal path. He's split his own party already. They say, of course, one socialist MP at least has resigned already. The paper says that they expect more to follow. And this can only lead to greater calls from Papandreou to step down. That paper has actually been calling for him to step down for some time already, but they say this can only put more fuel on that fire. If we look at the more right-wing paper, Kathimerini, those two papers rarely agree with one another, but today they do. They both expect Papandreou to lose this referendum and bring his government down. The headline at Kathimerini is "The tables have turned on the government," and such is the anger in Greece, really, that Kathimerini says that what Papandreou has done is disproportionate, it's irresponsible. He's put the country at the risk of a disorderly default that he alone would be responsible for, and he's raised his own ambition above the public good.
An idea that we've heard echoed in the French press as well. What about in Germany? There have, of course, been some harsh words from Europe's economic powerhouse for Greece in recent months, haven't there?
What's really motivating Papandreou? That's what the German paper Die Zeit is asking, if we have a look at them. They say, is he deliberately trying to commit political suicide? Is he trying to get out of this difficult situation that he can no longer cope with? Now, they say whatever has motivated him to do this, he's provoked a crisis. There'll be months of uncertainty and instability. A referendum, of course, takes time to organise. And they also apparently say that this kind of referendum is illegal in the Greek constitution. So he needs to pass a fresh law to even make it happen. That's not a universal opinion in the German papers, though. If we look at the German Financial Times, they actually call it highly risky but very intelligent, saying he could get a great mandate to continue on with his austerity measures by doing this. And the writer even says, if I had investments in Greece, I'd be sleeping more easily tonight than last night.
But maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he actually wants to get out and retire because he's so tired of all of this. Who knows, right? The New York Times doesn't think there's much chance that he will win the referendum.
The problem is that we're working with a foreign currency. If we had our own currency, we could print more money and get ourselves out of this crisis. Apparently, that's what a lot of people on the street of Athens have told the New York Times' correspondent. Of course, there's been a vocal minority of economists who've been saying that Greece should get out for ages, using the example of Argentina in 2002, saying they could then default and perhaps create an export boom like Argentina did by making their currency a lot cheaper. Now, apparently, this opinion is getting more and more popular among ordinary Greeks. There's at least one tabloid paper there that is really advocating for it. So maybe people just don't want to stay in the euro.
Some are saying bring back the drachma. What about the consequences of all of this, of course, for the G20 summit in Cannes that kicks off tomorrow?
Well, there's plenty of anti-globalisation protesters out on those streets who aren't any more keen on the latest Euro crisis plan than the Greek voters. If we have a look in The Guardian, they've got some demonstrators there who've mocked themselves up as world leaders on the red carpet. Of course, they're mocking the film festival that normally takes place in Cannes. The paper says the city is really on lockdown. There's 12,000 police on the streets, and they've even soldered up the manhole covers. But however hard France tries to make this the perfect stage-set summit that Sarkozy would have loved, it's all been ruined now. All his plans have gone to pot because it's all going to be about an emergency meeting on Greece.
It's not much like the Cannes Film Festival at the moment, that's for sure. There was also a slightly odd development in Athens yesterday, just briefly, with George Papandreou sacking army and navy chiefs. Any information about why he did that in the press today?
Well, the Greek papers seem to disagree on why that actually happened. The English language Athens News said that it was a really shock move that most government ministers didn't know about, whereas the EU Observer website, quoting some Greek press, says the defence minister apparently has been worried for months that the armies were kind of planning some kind of takeover. Greece, of course, has a long history of coup d'etat, and apparently the defence minister was telling the Greek paper Eleftherio sources months ago that the major generals were sort of launching what he called a state within a state and trying to bully democratically elected politicians. So whether or not some kind of fear like that has sparked their being removed overnight, we don't quite know.
So preemptive action, perhaps, by George Papandreou. Thank you very much to you, Elena Cassis, our press reviewer, taking us through the international newspapers this Wednesday.